joining us now. One of the principals who was on that Signal chat, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Advisor Waltz, thank you for joining us tonight. The president expressed complete confidence in you today and his entire cabinet. But how did a Trump-hating editor of The Atlantic end up on your Signal chat?
You know, Laura, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but of all the people out there, somehow this guy who has lied about the president, who has lied to Gold Star families, lied to their attorneys, and gone to Russia hoax, gone to just all kinds of links to lie and smear the president of the United States. And he's the one that somehow gets on somebody's contact and then gets sucked into this group.
Is someone in your intel? Is someone in your intel team trying to cause trouble here? Because that's the scuttlebutt out there.
Look,
that
we have people. We have people. No, look, this is a great group. The president has a great team. This is not first term.
No, your team. I'm not talking about the other principals.
No. These were principals and a couple of staff that were coordinating, as you saw, having a policy discussion as we went forward, and then just in the days before what was an incredible strike. Not only did we take out people that the Biden team never could, that we took out headquarters, missile caches, and actually one of the leaders of the Houthi organization. We've since taken out several since. And, you know, that's what they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the success here. They don't want to talk about the hostages getting released. They don't want to talk about the Black Sea ceasefire that we just put in place today as the president ends the largest land war in Europe, or the border, or the fact that Panama just kicked China out of the canal, and success after success after success. So they want to focus on this. It's embarrassing, yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone, and we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the number? I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So your staffer did not put his contact information.
No,
but how did it end up in your phone?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, but that's a pretty big problem.
That's what we've got the best technical minds, right?
That's disturbing.
And that's where, I mean, I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before, so how's the number on your phone? I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just curious. How's the number on your phone?
Well, if you have somebody else's contact and then somehow it gets sucked in.
Someone sent you that
it gets sucked in.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was on the chat?
So the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this guy.
Who was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
Okay.
So but look, that's the part that we have to figure out, and that's the part that embarrassing, yes, but Pete and I are veterans. We know these operations. He has been an excellent Secretary of Defense, and this was an operation that, I mean, it amazes me. I guess the Democrats were fine to leave all the sea lanes shut down. We're fine to have destroyers fired on dozens of times by this terrorist group, and fine to have Iran keep supplying them missiles. That was okay. The president takes decisive action. And now we're seeing some real success in taking down their air defenses, opening the sea lanes, taking out their leadership. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about this.
Now, the Atlantic told us in part that attempts to disparage and discredit us in our reporting follow an obvious playbook by elected officials and others in power who are hostile to journalists and First Amendment rights of all Americans. They're saying don't blame the messenger. Your response to them?
Lied about Russia. Lied about Gold Star families, lied about even as last, year in terms of the president paying for the family of a Gold Star family that he absolutely did. I mean, lie after lie after lie.
Have they ever apologized for any of that?
No. I mean, this is, do we care about the mainstream media? Do we care about the Atlantic? What I care about is staying focused on mission, accomplishing the president's agenda, getting these things done, cleaning up the Biden messes from Afghanistan to Ukraine to the Houthis to the border to China all over South America to the Arctic where we're completely exposed to NATO that's not paying up. And the president has had success after success. Well, he's got a fantastic national security team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just stunning how many people on the team have his 100% trust, and there have been enormous successes early on in this administration, but you all are rattling the old cages of the establishment, defense and national security, embedded people who are still working in government, a lot of great people, but the concern is that somebody got involved here who didn't want the president to be successful. And a lot of us are very concerned about that someone is in this orbit who doesn't want this president of the United States to be a raging success and turn our foreign policy into an America First approach.
Look, we made a mistake. We're moving forward, and we're going to continue to knock it out of the park for this president. Look at what he's gotten done in under 2 months. And I didn't even get going on the economy, on trade, or all of those other pieces.
And April 2nd's coming.
The DNI, Liberation Day.
The DNI was very adamant today and very clear that there was no classified information in this text chat. And the Democrats, of course, are predictably, they're going to jump on this. But should Goldberg just release the other information that he has? Because he's standing on this, well, I'm not going to release this information because I have my standards and journalistic standards. Okay, but it's not classified information, so does it matter? Would you care if the rest of this information came out?
Look, I mean, I would prefer, certainly, as the president was saying today, if we could all sit in a steel-lined lead room and have all of these conversations. I certainly want our deliberations to stay confidential. This was an encrypted app that the CIA had on sitting there as John Ratcliffe was confirmed and walked into the building from the prior administration. It's on other agency apps. And so, no, of course I don't want it all out there because these were conversations back and forth that you should be able to have confidentially. But what you also saw was a healthy policy debate in how we were going to achieve this for the president, what would be the results, what should be the timeline. And I think, again, I am fortunate to work for this president. I am fortunate to help him execute this vision and incredibly fortunate to have this team around him.
But there's no classified information in this exchange?
No classified information.
But you'd prefer it not to be out?
Of course. Do you want everything?
Yeah, no, well, right. I don't work for the government. I mean, this is why it's why texting in general is, in government situations,
again, as
difficult.
The president said, if we could all stay in the same room, but when we've got people moving, right? As he said again today, I mean, that would be his preference. I think all of our preference. But when he has people all over the world and we're coordinating these complex operations, we're moving at Trump speed. Fast. Doing all of this. We're cleaning up. I mean, we're doing 5 or 6 legacy-defining things in the first month. And we're cleaning up multiple Biden messes from the Middle East to Europe to the mess of our border all at once at the same time.
You don't need any distractions. You don't need any side stories or distractions.
Yep.
And I think people are watching this. Most Americans don't. They want the answers, the bottom line.
Yep.
You know, about Russia, about Ukraine, about China. But they read stuff like, oh, wait, there was a 2023 DOD memo that said you shouldn't use Signal. And yet you hear Ratcliffe today saying, well, it was commonly used. So doesn't there need to be a standard across the board?
Absolutely.
Just don't use any of these apps. But then how do you communicate when you're not in a skiff?
Well, and that's what you heard. That's what you heard Elon talking about, kind of the mess that is government communications. I could tell you, members of that team, I've been very frustrated about, the quality of our communications. We are working to address that. So one of the things that DOJ is doing is improving our IT, is improving our ability to communicate. And to the extent we get everybody in the same room, always better.
Yeah, it's always better. But you've never met Goldberg. He's out there saying you guys have met in the past, but you've never met him. No idea.
Wouldn't know him if I bumped into him, if I saw him in a police lineup. Do now. Knew him by reputation about lying about the president over and over again. What I can tell you for certain, certainly wasn't reaching out or talking to him at all. Why would I?
Yeah, well, he's been one of the most vociferous, vituperative so-called journalists out there in the Atlantic.
Well, near and dear to my heart as a veteran is lying about Gold Star families who love this president, veterans who love this president, and are thanking God he's president and commander-in-chief once again. And then you have a defense secretary who this morning I was talking to is working out with the Navy SEALs out in Honolulu, leading, improving morale, improving recruiting, improving lethality, and working with DOGE to improve efficiency and get our warfighters back to meritocracy mission focus. I mean, again, Laura, this team believes in this president. This team likes each other, knows each other, is working. Was there a mistake? Absolutely. We're going to improve it. We're going to fix it. And we're going to move forward to achieve the president's agenda.
Why was Bessent on this text chain? I was curious about that. There's just like little things like, why would Scott Bessent?
Because you have a sanctions regime. This is, again, right? You had Biden just literally, they would swarm our destroyers with drones, cruise missiles, UAVs. At first, he would allow them to just shoot them down, then pinprick attack, then 4 months would go by, shut down shipping. 75% of global commerce is getting rerouted. The world owes the president a favor, or excuse me, a thank you for taking this on and fixing this problem. And that is dry up their money, dry up their supply chain from Iran, hold Iran accountable, go after the missiles, go after the leadership. If you're going to move against a terrorist group, you take them out. And that's exactly what this team was doing.
I was actually relieved to see the nature of the exchange among you. I mean, it's kind of cool for regular people just to see, okay, how do these decisions get made with the president and the, obviously Miller is representing the president. But I actually thought it was really refreshing to see how you all seem to have mutual respect. No one's like blowing off another person's opinion. And none of us know anything about how decisions were made in the Biden administration. Nothing.
Well,
or if he was even there.
Who was deciding, not how decisions were made, who was actually deciding, because clearly it wasn't him. But you see this healthy back and forth, this respectful back and forth, different points of view. But at the end of the day, we're executing the president's vision, the president's direction, keeping it all coordinating and moving at Trump warp speed to do it all at once. I mean, not only have the media been on their back foot and the Democrats been on their back foot, all of our adversaries are on their back foot in terms of how to respond to him and the pace with which he moves.
Are we going to end this Ukraine war soon?
We just had the next step today. We've had an energy aerial ceasefire. We just defined what those targets that are now off limits on both sides are to de-escalate that. Now we're going to the Black Sea. The president's determined to end the war. And even, Laura, I mean, you have the NATO Secretary General, NATO, looking at the president in the Oval Office saying, you broke the logjam. Just months ago, no one was talking. Now we're going from, if this war will ever end, an endless war of people, treasure, and material, to now how it will end. And of course, the people that were in the endless war camp are going to criticize how this president is going to end it. But he is going to drive it to an end, and it's an honor to be part of it. And
lessons learned after the app. We're not using Signal app anymore.
Yeah, right. Lesson learned number one is you've got journalists out there who have made fame and fortune trying to trash this president. Yeah. And so, look, we've got to tighten up. We are tightening up, and we have some of the best technology minds looking at how this happened.
Well, it's happened to the best of us, but President Trump just needs no distractions. He needs to, pedal to the metal.
And Laura, it's the honor of a lifetime to work for him.
Well, I really appreciate your coming in. There's a kind of a confusing set of facts, and thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.